At the Blue Cafe, at the Blue Cafe, at the Blue Cafe, at the Blue Cafe.
Hello, welcome to the Blue Cafe, the show that features interviews with newsmakers and people of entertainment. And now your host of the Blue Cafe, Frank Allan.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Blue Cafe. Here's a show for you that we, as they already said, we interview people, newsmakers, and people of entertainment, and we thank you for being along with us. This is our debut program. How do you like that? And I couldn't think of a better way to kick this program off with the guest that I have today. You know, in my early years, around 14, 15 years old, living in Brooklyn, growing up there, and we used to get together with other neighborhood kids, get our money together, and go to the movies on Saturdays. And back in those days, the movies were like, I think about 50 cents or so. And you would go in there and watch 3 big hits. Now, the remarkable thing about that is that you can stay in your seat all day and watch those 3 big hits over and over and over until the theater closed. Now, if you really wanted more excitement, you could pay $1.50 and go to a movie theater which specialized in on-stage performances. There, you would get a chance to watch a movie, a cartoon, a newsreel, and, of course, a on-stage performance. And I've seen many of them in my time. But there was an artist I always loved when he came into town, and whenever I knew he was coming in, I would rustle up my money and go to see him. Now, growing up in Brooklyn, we had great theaters. We had the Brevoort Theater, the Brooklyn Paramount Theater, and the Brooklyn Fox Theater. And, of course, the Apollo Theater in New York City. And the artist I'm talking about is Jackie Wilson. Never missed a show, always up there front and center. He's no longer with us, but we keep his music alive, and I couldn't think of a better person to help us keep this music alive than his son, who, by the way, happens to be an artist in his own right. He's toured all over the world, all over the country, and his fans really love him. So it gives me great pleasure today to talk to the one and only Bobby Wilson. Bobby, thank you so much for being with us on the Blue Cafe.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Bobby, I read your bio, and you have a fascinating story. And we're going to talk more about your music, but I want you to take me back, because I know show business initially wasn't your choice of a career. You were in the Navy. You did some time in the Navy, correct? And you wanted to make that a career, right, in itself, right?
Right.
Okay. Right. So why don't you take me back there? I mean, probably even further than that, from your childhood. And then we're going to come more, and then we're going to circle around and come back and talk about your music.
Yeah, sure. I was raised in a foster home. My parents gave me up at birth. I didn't know who they were, and when I was young, I couldn't. I had problems when I was born. I had problems with my bones. The bones. I had intestinal problems. I had underdeveloped lungs, and I had a speech impediment. So they didn't project that I would make it to my teen when I was young, because I had so much work that needed to be done on me. So I was in and out of the hospital till I was about 12 years old. Mm-hmm. And so most of the music that I learned was because I wound up sitting on the couch listening to my sister play soul music, or anything she wanted to play, I should say, on her stereo system. She had a hi-fi stereo system, and I was with a cook juice and rock and roll, whatever she was playing, BB or Lou Rawls, Diana Rawls, Marvin Gaye, Otis Redding. She would scream, my big sister. So I was home with 10 other kids, and my mom's mother, who had her own daughter. She only had one daughter, which was my big sister Ann. So Ann was playing all the music, and babysitting when Mama was in church. Mama came from a big background. She had 12 brothers. She was the baby girl of 12 brothers. 6 of her brothers were preachers, and her parents were preachers. So I came from a very, very religious Southern Baptist. That's where I grew up in. Mm-hmm. So by the time I was old enough to play sports, 12 or 13 years old, I actually snuck and played sports, and then And I started getting a little bit involved with music when I joined the choir. Never thought I could sing because I didn't focus on music. I actually got in electronics in high school and small engine repair. And from there, I joined the Navy. I took the ASVAB test, if you know what that is. So they wanted me in the electronic program. And, I was back in school for 5 years. So time that my early life was basically just developing through the military. By the time I got out of the military, I was discharged because of medical problems again. I started passing kidney stones, and when I passed those kidney stones, they gave me a medical discharge at 10 years in Navy. And from there, I found myself in Hawaii because I was stationed at Pearl Harbor. I was hanging out with all the local Hawaiian guys. When I joined the Navy, I was 135 pounds soaking wet. Well, I was 240, so everybody thought I was a big guy.
Bobby, can you tell us about the time that you were in the Navy? I mean, you said you were there, and at that particular point, you said you felt that you didn't have any talent, or that's how you felt. And someone said, they knew talent when they saw it. I read your bio, but I want you to tell me the story about it.
Well, I was in Hawaii, they were at the bars, and I didn't know anything about karaoke.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys, taught me into going in with it, and that's when I found out, these guys love to sing.
Uh-huh.
So I went out to check it out, and sure enough, these guys were singing all the time, and I wound up just singing, and a guy named Peter Hernandez walked up and offered me a job with this doo-wop group called the Love Notes.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never even heard of Peter Hernandez, but I knew what doo-wop music was. Doo-wop music. It was the 50s shoot groups do that, but he said, "You got a nice." I kind of laughed, like, "No, man, I'm just going to, And he goes, "No, I know talent when I see talent." And I joined the show, and there were 7 guys, 7 girls, a little boy named Bruno that was on the show with Pete's son,
mm-hmm.
and he was doing Baby Elvis on the show. And so, and he was fantastic. I was, quite happy and pleased to join the show.
Uh-huh.
Now, when I joined the show, I had a job lined up for me in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I never did the job. I got so happy with what I was doing, I didn't try to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
I rescinded the offer and stayed with the Love Notes. And once I realized that I loved what I was doing, I was stuck. I wasn't leaving. I did not leave the show. I stayed with the show.
The kid Bruno that you refer to, could that be Bruno Mars?
Absolutely.
That was his son?
That was Bruno. Years old when on that show, and he, he's so funny. He walked up to me in the show and he looked up at me and said, "Hey, how long you?" And I said, "Oh, this is my first year." I said, "I don't know how I'm going to be in it, but I just started." He goes, "Oh, I've been in 3 years," and he turned around and walked away. And I was thinking, what in the hell is this? He was like a 30-year-old kid in a 6-year-old body, So that's what I told his dad. I said, "I think you got a little Michael Jackson on your head."
Or Frankie Lyman.
But I didn't grow up around who Frankie Lyman is. I grew up around Michael, so I said, "Man, put Jackson on your head."
Uh-huh.
And so he said, "That's my retirement plan."
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, when Bruno made it, group disbanded about after I was on the group.
Mm-hmm.
We could all completely start doing the thing, including Bruno. But when Bruno made all kind of regathered again, because it was starting 2008, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, "Wow, he actually made it."
Mm.
And he, out of the whole group of us, would love to be in Bruno's shoes because we all were striving to be big stars,
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny that that's what it is. It's just fantastic for Bruno.
I want to move further ahead, move up a little bit. If you want to mention something in between all of that, I heard about the story when you met the Four Tops. And, of course, the Four Tops were like one of your favorite all-time groups, right?
Yeah.
I love this story. You gotta say it.
Well, it was after I was working with the Love Notes, Paul Revere and the Raiders, and John Stewart walked in to see our show because they just opened a new show called Legends in Concert in Hawaii at the Royal Hawaiian Shopping Center. And when they came in, they wanted to see Bruno because they wanted to somehow incorporate Bruno in the Legends show because they had an Elvis already in the show, of course, but Bruno was baby Elvis, and they just loved it. So they worked out a deal with Bernie and Pete to get Bruno to do a few nights in the show over at the Royal Hawaiian. But as I was leaving the first night that Paul and John came, Paul Revere stopped me. Said, "Hey, Popper, you know who you look like?" And I was like, yeah, I've heard. He said, "You heard?" He said, "Yeah, Jackie Wilson was the greatest and this and that." And blah, blah, blah. Paul was crazy. He said, "I had him on my show where the action is, and da-da-da-da." You had a show? See, at the time, I didn't know who Paul Revere was. I didn't know he was a star.
Yeah, absolutely.
A rock and roller. I had no clue. And he was like, "Yeah, I had him on my show where the action is, and this and that." And this and that. I said, "Oh," he said, "that guy's fantastic, and you're just like him. You're just a clone." That's what Paul would say.
Uh-huh.
So he says, "Look, I want you to do a tribute to Jackie in my show." And I said, "Oh, no, I'm not a tribute artist. I'm not an impersonator. I am an artist." And he laughed like I just told him the best joke in the world. And he said, okay, come on now. So I walked away and forgot about it. And 2 weeks later, I ran into him somewhere again, and he said the same thing again. "You got to do Jackie Wilson for my show." And I said, "I'm not interested." I said, "That's not what I'm not an impersonator. So I'm not interested in that." I said, and at the time, I was negotiating with Columbia Records. I had wrote 3 singles that we presented, and they loved it. So I was about on the verge of being signed. So I was like, no, I'm good where I'm at. And then the third time he came to me, I was at a club called Bobby McGee's. And he said, "Didn't I tell you I want you to do that?" But the only difference that made me stop and pay attention was growing up in my mother's foster home, in my mother's home, my mother always said to me, "If it comes in 3, it's God talking to you. Listen. Pay attention. If it comes in 3." And so when it was the third time, my mother's very much alive, but I heard her voice.
Mm-hmm.
"It's 3s. Pay attention. This is God talking, not nobody but God." And so I said, "Okay, Paul, I'll do your audition."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Well, come to the show because you need to see what kind of show it is and blah, blah, blah. Have you seen it?" I said, "No." I went to see the show. I was blown away. There was Michael Jackson, Elvis, the Blues Brothers, all these acts that were dead on. And the Michael Jackson guy impressed me more than all of them because he was so dead on Michael. You would think it was Michael. And the same with E. Casanova. He's the world's highest paid Michael Jackson and tribute artist. And besides that, Michael's used E. Casanova in a lot of his videos, music videos. So Michael loved E. Casanova. So he was used quite a bit. A lot of times in those videos, you think it's Michael, it was actually E. Casanova. I worked in Hawaii for a couple of years, and Paul said, "Hey, Bopper, I must send you to Atlantic City because Jackie Wilson was king of the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
He was king of New York and Jersey and Philly, and all the way down to Alabama and Mississippi." And I said, "Oh, okay." I never played the East Coast, even though I was from the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually born in Westbury, Long Island, New York.
No kidding.
Yeah, I was born to a midwife.
Wow.
My mother was underage and had me in a house over there in Long Island. So, but she took me to South Carolina, and that's where I was raised because she was from South Carolina.
Bobby, hold that thought. I'm about to take a break, but when we come back, I want to hear more about your meeting with the Four Tops. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Blue Cafe. My name is Frank Allan, and my guest is Bobby Wilson, and we'll be right back.
Can you feel that? We're going to spread some love all around the world. Started right here in this room. Repeat after me. Let me hear you say higher. 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 That's why you love.
He sounds just like Jackie Wilson, but no, that's his son, who's my guest today here on the Blue Cafe with yours truly, Frank Allan, Bobby Wilson. Bobby, before we took the break, we were getting into the part when you started to meet the Four Tops, and at this point, you're in Atlantic City.
So I get to Atlantic City, and I'm performing. You know, they have me as an opening act, and I'm doing my thing. Just like working my show, and I get the entertainment director comes down to see me one day after one of the first. We did 2 shows a day, a matinee show and a show at night. And he came to me after the matinee show. He said, "Hey, how do you know the Four Tops?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "How do you know the Four Tops? They know you. How do you know them?" I said, "I don't know the Four Tops. I never met the Four Tops." He goes, "Oh, well, they want to meet you." I get to meet the Four Tops? Yes! I'm excited because I grew up listening to the music and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, buying of that. I mean, all that stuff is in my head. And, you know, so I'm going up there, and I'm like, you know, and Jim Asher was the entertainment director. He takes me up there to the Four Tops, and there they are, all in the green room. I did not know they was in Bally's working for the whole week doing corporate shows.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't advertised. Nobody knew they were there.
Wow.
And so anyway, they were up there doing corporate shows, and I walk into the green room, and there they are, all four of them, you know, just chilling. And they said, "Hey, young man," and I walk in, and they start firing questions at me left and right. How come you been Jackie Wilson all the time? When are you yourself? Show us body, you know, stuff like that. I said, "I am body." What do you mean? He says, "Listen, you can't be my cousin. We watch you, and the way you act, you couldn't have studied Jackie that much." That's what they said.
Wow.
You couldn't have studied Jackie the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you laugh.
Mm-hmm.
He said, and they said, we was down in the chow hall the other day, and you was being funny like Jackie. Jackie was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And you're being funny like Jackie was.
Mm.
And he said, this guy's Jackie Wilson. He never turns it off. That's what they were saying. When Paul asked me to do Jackie Wilson, I told Paul over there, I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll put it together, but I have no idea how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no video on Jackie Wilson. There's no research. Nobody's done a book on him. Nobody's done an interview on him. I said, I can't find anything on Jackie Wilson. I found a paragraph in the library that said he's a good-looking, vocal, acrobatic entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So I was like, okay, that's it. I couldn't find nothing else. So I went to Paul. I said, Paul, like any video, whatever on Jackie Wilson, how am I supposed to portray something to know how he performs? And Paul said, well, let me call Dick Clark, because Dick Clark and him were best friends. See if I can get some video from Dick Clark. He was on American Bandstand 1,000,000 times. He said, no, I don't give out my video, and da-da-da-da. And Dick Clark wouldn't give us any video. And I was really surprised by that. So I said, well, what am I going to do? He says, well, do the song, just sell Bobby. They'll buy Bobby. Chances are they'll buy you if you perform the songs as close to Jackie as possible and close to the sound as possible. They'll buy you. I was doing my own show on a dinner cruise ship. So Paul said, I saw your show on the cruise ship because I did a little bit of Stevie Wonder and I did a little bit of Sam Cooke and Otis Redding. I do a lot of them in it. So, you know, so for the next 2 years with Legends, I do Jackie without any video. I finally found a video on Jackie from the video store, Blockbusters, and I ordered it. It's called Shindig. And when I got that tape, that's the first time I got to see Jackie live. It's also the first time I saw that I was a clone of Jackie Wilson because I didn't even know it. I ordered the tape, came in, I was so excited. I called my best friend at the time. Her name was Elisa Randolph. She was a singer, but she was playing Whitney Houston in our show. And I said, Elisa, I just got my video on Jackie Wilson. We go to her house. She's married to Sergio. He was an Italian chef.
Mm-hmm.
And we're sitting in the living room. We put the video in. The video starts. My mouth drops. Then Sergio walks in and goes, hey, Bobby, when did you do this? And me and Sergio, me and Elisa turned around and looked at Sergio and said, that's Jackie Wilson. That's Bobby. He goes, no, that's Jackie Wilson. I was already doing him. So now, fast forward to meeting the Four Tops up in the green room in Bally's, and they asked me, how do you want to be like, hey? I said to them, I'm not Jackie off stage, I'm Bobby off stage. I don't know how to be Jackie off stage. I don't Jackie Wilson is like him. And Lawrence and Duke said, not Duke, Lawrence and Levi said at the same time, he's that. And I was like, my mouth was wide open. So then Lawrence started more questions. Who is your parents? Then I said, I don't know because I was raised in foster home. My mother gave me up. What's your mother's name? And then I told them my mother's name, and the response was, is she from South Carolina, Columbia? And I went, yes, she is. And said, we know your mother. And then he called Levi and he called the rest. Guess who his mother's name is? And he told Levi, and Levi, he said, you're fine, boy. Your mama was fine. and they went, now that explains everything. That was Lawrence.
And that's how you found out.
That's
Out of all of those years, and you found. Do you remember how old you were at the time when that happened?
I was in my 30s.
Oh, wow.
Well, here's the thing. Look me over to Billy, Rotel Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Rotel Davis was the guy that put together all the band members and everybody for Brunswick Records. He's the one that hired Barry Gordy as a songwriter for Brunswick Records. And he, Barry, and Gwen Gordy, because Billy was dating Gwen Gordy at the time, they all wrote Jackie's first records. Also, most people don't know this, but Barry Gordy's oldest sister, Anna, already started a record label called Tamala before Barry Gordy.
Oh, that was her record company. Okay.
But when Barry got off, he basically took over everything.
Wow.
But when Anna started Tamala, Barry was working for Brunswick with Billy, and Billy, Barry, and Gwen were writing all of Jackie's hits. So Gwen talked Billy into see me because Billy had no interest in coming to see him, and he told Lawrence. Lawrence told me because he gave me a phone number, said I was family. He says we got to stick, and I'm gonna watch after you now that we found you. That's what he said to me. And so he calls Billy, and Billy's in New York. So Billy, you got to go and see this kid. You got to go see this kid. Billy's like, I'm not interested. He's impersonator. And he says, no, Billy, he's not. The kid is Jackie, and you know it. And so Billy comes on his own without telling me he was there. He come and watch, pay for a ticket, because if he called me, I would have come to. Mm-hmm. Nope, he came on his own, paid for a ticket, said no audience. So Billy asked the maitre d' could he meet me, and the maitre d', hey, it's a guy named Billy Davis wants to meet you. I said, bring him on back, because I was in my dressing room. Mm-hmm. So I said, guitar player or the producer? So there's two Billy Davises. Billy Davis, my dad grew up with a player that taught Jimi Hendrix how to play. And he also played for my dad when they were growing up. There's Billy Davis, my dad's cousin, who was the writer, was an original member of the Four Tops. And Billy didn't want to sing. He decided he would make more money being a producer and a writer. Mm-hmm. So Billy stepped off the group. But Billy managed the group, co-managed the group with their managers. That's why Lawrence called him. No, but that's called him. So when Billy came and presented himself to me, Billy, I said, are you the producer? He said, I said, you a bad mofo there. And he laughed, and we clicked from then. And then from there, he became my mentor. Kind of the first father I ever had. And I really hated it when he passed away because it was I only had a short time with him. 97, 98 is when I met him.
You met
when he died in 2005.
When you met who? Your
When I met Billy.
Oh, okay, all right.
In the Four Tops. Shortly after I met, the Four Tops. When I met Lawrence, he was sick and I didn't know it. And he passed away from cancer.
Yeah, I remember that well.
It was I had met Lawrence's son, Montez, because living with Billy and working in Billy's office. Mm-hmm. Billy was the one to really introduce me to the family, and then I met the family and became close with Thor, one of the brothers. That's when we went ahead and did the blood test and confirmed that I was Jackie's son. And since that, I've been carrying the banner and the flag for Jackie.
You never really met your dad then?
No, I never met him.
Wow.
No. He was already in the home by the time I knew who he was.
Just to track back just for a second or two, and you can always get back to this. Why did your mom give you up?
I don't know. She was young and do it. And I realized Mom was given up by her mother.
Oh.
My mom and her two sisters were given up by her mother. Her mother didn't raise none of her kids.
Did you ever meet her eventually?
I met her.
Okay.
We connected only for a short while, and then disappointed in her, and I cut off with her. She was living her life, and her life. So I when we first met, of course, she asked me, "Please forgive me for giving you up," and I said, "No, I think it's the best thing you ever done for me," because she was young, when she gave me up, and she was kind of and I'm not trying to be judgmental in any way, but she was living her life. So, and it didn't include me, but I'm so glad because I was really sick. I wouldn't have survived.
Bobby, stick with us because we are going for another break, and we'll be back. We're going to talk more about you and your music, and the rest of you stay with us too because there's more to come with my guest Bobby Wilson right here on the Blue Cafe. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Blue Cafe. Once again, here's Frank Allan.
Well, thank you, and welcome back to the Blue Cafe. My name is Frank Allan. I'm your host. My guest today is Bobby Wilson, the son of the late Jackie Wilson. Bobby covers his father very well, but he's his own entertainer. I remember I purchased my first Jackie Wilson record, which is called Lonely Teardrops on the Brunswick label. But I'm going to play Bobby Wilson's version. Here it is, Lonely Teardrops.
My heart is crying, crying. Lonely teardrops. My pillow never dries. Those long teardrops. Come home, come home. Just say you will, say you will. Now how many of you remember that song, huh? I'm sorry I can't hear anybody. Come on. My heart is crying, crying, pow. Lonely teardrops. My pillow never dries. Those long teardrops. Come home, come home. Just say you will, say you will. Just give me another chance for my romance. Come on and tell me one day you'll return. Oh, every day that you know where you know my heart does nothing but burn, cry. Come on. Just say you will, say you will.
That was Bobby Wilson's version of Lonely Teardrops. Bobby is my guest today here on the Blue Cafe via telephone, and I'm really having a good time doing this show today. So I'm going to get back into more of your music. Again, you have a new album, you recorded a single already, correct?
Yeah, we just finished the first single called "Stand Up for Love," and yeah. It's because of what's going on right now that the reason why we wrote it. And so I'm looking forward to that coming out. Forward to seeing a great response from that. We're getting ready to shoot the video on the song here in Vegas, so I'm looking forward to it. It's just a new way. It's new music, and it's not the regular music that I did on my first album. My first album I did was R&B, very R&B style music.
Yeah.
And this one is house music. So if you love house music, you're gonna love this song.
Oh, that's great. That'll take me back. I just want to inform everybody that Bobby Wilson is not just a singer. And you mentioned it earlier, you did some imitations, but you are an impressionist.
Yes.
You are an impressionist. Bobby does Sam Cooke, he does Stevie Wonder. I heard your version of Little Richard. I saw that on one of your interview shows that you did in Vegas. And I cracked up. I was on the floor.
Yeah, man. I mean, a good friend of mine, his name is Gary Moore. He does a full-on Little Richard tribute. And I got started with that one because he didn't want to do a show in Australia, or he didn't want to go to it, or he didn't think it was enough money. Whatever the case was, he called me up and said, "Hey, man, there's a show in Australia. If you want it, take it." I said, "Yeah, of course I want it."
Yeah.
And he said, "But catch-22 is they want you to do Little Richard." And I remember I said, "Gary, are you crazy? I don't do Little Richard." He goes, "Why not?" I said, "What do you mean, why not?" He said, "You can if you wanted to." And I thought about it, and I went, "Oh, okay." So I said, "You giving me permission?" He said, "Brother, you don't need my permission. I'm just saying I don't want the job. If you want it, go do it." So I was like, "All right." So I called the guy up, and he said, "Can you put together a Little Richard show?" I said, "Shut up, baby! I got the best show in the world, baby!" He was like, "I'm sold." He said, I did this over the phone. He was like, "Sold." He said, "Good." And he gave me the list of songs he wanted me to do, and I started working on the song, got on my piano, started playing the riffs, and by the time I got to Australia, which was 6 months later, I had a full-on Little Richard show. Now, I didn't realize I was doing it one by one. Then somebody would call me and say, "I need Sam Cooke." And then I started working on Sam Cooke. And then they call and say, "Hey, can you do Rick James?" And I was like, "Give it to me, baby. Give it to me, baby." So I was just going from act to act because, as far as I was concerned, it's the money. I want that money.
Oh, now see, now you know something? That changes everything. When there's money involved, you will do it.
It's a job.
It's a job. And you know something? And I think, Bobby, you're a little too modest for your own good. I mean, how many times have people told you, Paul Revere told you, "I know talent when I see it"? "No, I don't think I'm talented." No, I know talent when I see it. And the guy asked you to do Little Richard. You said, "No, I don't do Little Richard. I can't do Little Richard." "Yes, you can."
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
And this guy, I'm talking about Gary, he looks like young Little Richard. I mean, he looks just like him. So, I was, when he asked me to do it, I was like, "Man, come on, I don't even look like Little Richard." But we made it happen.
You could make it happen. Listen, I know we have this pandemic going on, and I know you can't wait to get back to work. And as we look to the future, what do you have plans? Do you see anything on the horizon after this pandemic is over? Where you will be going?
Man, I'm not holding back. I'm going for my acting, like you said about the impersonations and stuff, and the impressions. Yeah, I did. And you know what really inspired me was my dad inspired me because I stumbled on Jackie Wilson at the Copa. So I bought the CD, and I listened to it in the middle of his show. That's what he does. He does a tribute to Ray Charles and 5 or 6 other entertainers in his show. He sounded like Ray Charles. I couldn't even fathom the idea that he did impressions. He did.
See?
So I was like, wow. So I got that naturally.
So the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, as they would say.
I'm going to tell you, man, I was so blown away that he did impressions and he did some vocal impressions like James Cagney, which these are people of his day, and the guy that did "It's a Wonderful World." I forgot the name of the actor.
Louis
the Christmas. It's a Wonderful World that comes on every year at Christmas.
Oh, It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What's the actor's name?
James Stewart. Jimmy Stewart.
James Stewart. He did James Stewart.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Sounds just like him. So I was like, this dude was a joint. And so he did like a few, and then he did Sammy. He did a dead on Ray Charles. Ray Charles was so dead on, it's almost like you thought Ray Charles stepped into his show.
Did he ever do Elvis? Because him and Elvis were close.
Yeah, he never did Elvis because he really respected Elvis, and they were close. They were like brothers. See, Elvis was a only child. He had a twin that died at birth. I take that back. And Jackie had he was the only child with his mom and dad, and then he had a half sister, Joyce, because his mother remarried. But so he was basically only child. So they had so much in common that it was kind of unreal with them. They was just that united,
Yeah.
Yeah. So they had a lot in common, man.
That's
just really a lot.
Yeah,
so,
I have a photo of the two of them together. It's an iconic photo. I think everyone in the world has it. If you don't have it
on the set
on the lot,
girls.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know where it was taken, but you confirmed that.
Yeah, Elvis started using Jackie, my dad, on his movie sets.
Yeah.
During the movie years, because he would do some dance moves, and then Jackie would do some dance moves, and then Elvis would copy him and put him in the movie. So he used them, and he paid them, of course, to come on the set and do the dance moves.
Yeah. Your
and
dad.
A lot of Elvis people know that. I got a lot of things that Elvis did for Jackie through people from Elvis camp. One particular gentleman told me that you probably don't know this because it's not general public, but Elvis paid your dad's medical bills till he died. No, till your dad died. I said, what do you mean? And my brother was there at the time. He told us both at the same time. He said, your dad's medical bills were paid by Elvis. Elvis would give me the check, and I would fly in and deliver it. I was like, wow. And after Elvis died, they set up where he got it until he passed. Made my brother Thor cry. I mean, he cried when he heard that.
Here's a couple of stories you may be interested in. Speaking of Elvis, your dad on an interview, not me, I never interviewed your dad, but on an interview, the interviewer asked your dad, if I were to put you into the studio, because I think your dad wanted to do radio. I think he wanted to do radio at one point.
Yeah, that's what he said.
And he said, if I were to put you in the studio and give you a stack of records for an hour, put you in the studio for an hour, who would you play for that hour?
He said Elvis Presley.
He said Elvis Presley.
Yeah, I've heard that interview.
Yeah. And another story, he said, he went to see a Frank Sinatra show in Vegas. So he was sitting in the audience watching Frank Sinatra, and they said Frank Sinatra got on stage, and just how he does when he breaks in, he wants to talk a little bit. He said that after this show, I want all you guys to go to, I think maybe your dad was playing at Caesars, I don't know, one of those hotels.
No, he was playing Flamingo.
Yeah, Flamingo. That sounds more like it. Yeah, he says, I'm going over, after I get off here, I'm going over to Flamingo. He says, I want everybody to come over to Flamingo and watch Jackie Wilson. You'll dig him.
Yep, that's a true story.
Jeepers, I am having so much fun. Bobby, we're going to take another break. We're going to come back for the finale. The rest of you stay right there, too, because the show is almost over. My guest is Bobby Wilson. I'm Frank Allan, and you're listening to The Blue Cafe. We'll be right back.
You know why I'm shouting, right? You better stop me up. except the ball. Sometimes you don't come home at all. I don't mind you having yourself a real good time. But not too much trying to do. You never stop it all.
That was one of Jackie Wilson's all-time big hits. That was called Doggin' Around. That version was done by Bobby Wilson, who's my guest today via telephone here on the Blue Cafe. My name is Frank Allan. We had so much fun doing this show today. But we do have final thoughts. So, Bobby, the thing I wanted to ask you about your upcoming travels, where do you plan to go? I know you've been around all around the country and all around the world, different places.
That's exactly what's going to happen. I do have a lot of shows scheduled in New York in the summer, starting in July.
Okay.
Festivals. So I got some festivals starting in July, and then after that, I have a few shows in Europe because of this particular record that I'm doing. I got a lot of shows that's going to be playing. I mean, a lot of the club dates I'm going to be doing for this particular record, and I can't wait. Can't wait to get on it.
Can't wait to see you too. Now here's another.
Yeah,
I want to ask you this too. I know you're a young man and you've got a long way to go. But after you have done all you can do for show business, how would you like people to remember you?
That's how I just want to be with somebody who did something good, did something to help someone. Was not a selfish soul, and my music shared that. That's what I want. If I had to. You know, that's something I need to think about because I just want to be able to share, you know, some goodness with everyone. That's all.
What advice would you have for someone that's younger that wants to do sing or be in show business or whatever they do in show business? What kind of advice would you have for them?
A couple of things. I'll probably just know what you want and go for it. Never give up, and have God in your life. Need him now. You don't need him now.
And go to school and stay there.
Well, yeah. This is the toughest business out of all business.
Yeah.
Being.
Yeah.
And you got to be ready. You know, do what it takes to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you might not like what it's going to take. You might have to go without your family. You might have to go. Most of the time, you're going to go it alone, and you have and it's faith. It's faith, believing in yourself and believing in the God that you serve. If you have one, but I would say it'd be much better if you had a God that you can rely on, than people.
Wow.
Because people gonna let you down every time.
Tell me about it.
People gonna let you down every time, but God will never let you down.
Wow.
I had so many times I had girlfriends that would say to me, "You're a grown man, and you and this don't even know where your next check is coming from. You live that way." And especially when they wanted to marry and they wanted me to, start a family with them. And I said, "I'm sorry, this is what I chose to do. And if it does afford me that, it'll work itself out on its own.
Mm-hmm.
But God's got a way of letting it work out its own.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has to force you for anything that you're either not ready to, you don't do.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the way where I am with that. And that's what I believe. That's what I tell everybody, the young folks and people I run into. You gotta have something solid. You got a foundation. Anybody who tell you in the building business, nothing will stand without the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing can stand. So if you don't have a family or somebody to help you and give you direction, it's going to be a very hard road for you to travel. But if you believe in yourself, which you have to, you can't believe everybody else. You got to believe you. You got it made.
Any final words that you want to say that we didn't cover? That just something you would just want to throw in there?
Nothing. Live your best life. Honor your parents, and have fun in this world. This world was made to be abundant. So let's enjoy the abundance that God gave us.
Absolutely.
If you know what I'm talking about, enjoy it, and God leads you.
Absolutely.
All of us have a story. Have a story. All of us have something that didn't work out in our lives the way we liked it.
That's right.
But I'm not really special. I may be a little bit special because I'm putting out a record.
Sell it. Sell it. You got to sell it. Sell it, Bobby. Sell it. If it's coming out, sell it.
But besides that, we got to depend on each other. We got each other. That's God intended it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just do your best life. Mm-hmm. And try to treat everybody right, man.
Oh, great. That's good words of wisdom,
Yep.
Bobby. Bobby, thank you so much. We've been grabbed by the clock. I really appreciate you being here, and hopefully we can do it again. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to The Blue Cafe, and we invite you to jump on our Facebook page and give us a like. And if you'd like to stay in touch with us, do that too. You can call us at any time at 641-715-3900, extension 467134. That's 641-715-3900, extension 467134. Or you can email us, frankallenprod@aol.com. That's frankallenprod@aol.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Blue Cafe.
You've been listening to The Blue Cafe with your host, Frank Allen. The producer, Al Dale, and from the research department, Sandy Pierce. The Blue Cafe was produced under Frank Allen Productions. I'm Donna Stanky.